My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me now and we will explore these topics and so much more with fascinating guests, authors, and experts who will guide us to Destination Unlimited. I am thrilled to share that my very first guest on Destination Unlimited from March of 2016, Kim Skipper Corbin, joins me again this week to share her amazing path. Kim is the publicity director and social media manager of New World Library. She's also been a passionate promoter of the benefits of adult skipping since 1999 via her iskip.com website, which offers an information source and gathering place for people all over the world who enjoy a good skip. She's working on her own book about what she's learned through skipping all these years, and tonight she will also share about the blessings of the unicorn. Please join me in welcoming back to Destination Unlimited, Kim Skipper Corbin. Welcome back, Kim.
Thanks so much, Victor. It's a joy to be here with you.
Kim, you were the first guest on my first show back in 2016. Welcome back. It's so nice to have you back. And you also recently celebrated a milestone at New World Library. Please share with our listeners meeting you for the first time, your early path, and how your career evolved.
Wow, my early path. Well, I grew up in the Midwest in Indiana. I went to Purdue University, but I did not have a very good college experience. I just didn't fit in college. And then I ended up seeing a career counselor. Long story short, became a teaching assistant. And then when I had a teaching assistant job, my dad wrote and self-published a book called The Edge Resume and Job Search Strategy. And I fell in love with the book and convinced him that he should hire me to help him sell it. And so he matched my $5 an hour teaching salary. And I taught myself the book publishing industry. And then I met a guy, amazingly enough, in an AOL chat room in 1996 who lived in San Francisco and ended up getting an entry-level publishing job from Indiana and moved to San Francisco. And now, there's we'll get to some of the middle stuff that happened in there, but now for 20 years, I've been at New World Library. I'm currently the publicity director there and working with authors like Eckhart Tolle and Shakti Gawain when she was still with us, and just thought leaders that are helping to shift consciousness on the planet in a more positive direction.
Absolutely. Now, I opened our first interview by sharing the exact following words. With all of the heavy news in the world right now, how about skipping back to something we loved to do as kids? Skipping. My guest, Kim Skipper Corbin, a social media manager, book publicist by day, and passionate promoter of the joy of adult skipping by night. She created the iskip.com website in 1999 when she started skipping as an adult and decided to invite the rest of the world to join her. Kim, what inspired you to create iskip.com and inspire everyone else to start skipping?
It is my calling. It's my primary calling in this lifetime is to share the joy of skipping with the world. I can say that now 25 years and quite the hero's journey in, that this is just something that it's my dharma. It was meant to be. And the first time that I skipped as an adult, I had a complete intuitive download is what I call it, where I thought, oh my gosh, I could get my friends to skip with me. I could use my publicity skills to get some publicity, and then people would feel brave enough to skip. And over the course of the last 25 years, that vision has come true and taken me for a creative ride that I could not have even possibly imagined, including ending up at New World Library. And it's been a long, strange, wonderful skip.
And what do you offer on iskip.com?
iskip.com is just the home of the worldwide skipping movement. It has all of the latest skipping news. For instance, just recently, an Olympic trainer, coach named Stuart McMillan was on the Huberman Lab podcast, and he's really into sprinting. And apparently, skipping is one of the best exercises you can do if you want to be able to sprint and run full out. And so he was promoting skipping on there. So the current first thing you see when you hit the website is that right now. And then other people that I've met along the years that have done skipping accomplishments are in the Skipping Hall of Fame. There's skip tips and videos and people's testimonials about why they love skipping. And it's all things skipping.
Wonderful. Now, what was your life like before you rediscovered adult skipping?
Well, I'm from Indiana, like I said. And so I was, a lot of Midwestern sensibilities were the starting point for me. And shortly after I moved to San Francisco, I went to Burning Man for the first time. And Burning Man completely shifted everything for me. It really helped me understand that I could be a creative participant in each moment of my life. And my first year at Burning Man was 1997. There was a big sign on Center Camp that said no spectators. Like everyone should be participating, and that has stuck with me. Even after that very first Burning Man, I made a promise to myself that I was going to do whatever I could for me to greet life with the same way that the mindset that I had discovered there, even though the rest of the world hadn't yet discovered how great it is to live life that way. It really completely shifted my philosophy in a major way.
And for those of us who are east of Northern California, tell us what the Burning Man is about.
Burning Man is a festival that happens in the desert every year. It's about an hour and a half from Reno, and it is we build a Black Rock City it becomes, I think, the third largest town in Nevada during the week of the event, and it's a fully operational town where everyone just gifts and brings the things that the town needs to thrive. And there's lots of big scale art and artists, and it's a gifting economy, and it's pretty incredible. If you look at the website, you'll see the amount of art that's out there, and it's in a very intense environment that really puts you in touch with your body in ways that we would never know in our air conditioned existence in the regular world.
And who is the man who burns?
The man is it's an effigy. It's a bit in the middle of the town. There's a gigantic neon man that kind of oversees everything, and it burns at the end. And it started Larry Harvey way back in the 80s on Baker Beach in San Francisco. He and some friends had done a Burning Man, and it was representing like a rite of change, rite of passage, new beginnings. And so that's kind of the larger symbolism. And each year for a lot of people, it's their new year every year. I just went for the first time in 9 years last year, which was great. And it's a much harder to go when you're 56 than when you're 31, which is how old I was when I first started going.
Absolutely. Your launching the adult skipping movement became a national news story. What coverage did this receive, and how did it make you feel?
Oh my goodness, it got so much national publicity. I mean, I'm a publicist, so it was not anything that I was actually like with my authors where I'm going out seeking it. The publicity came to the skipping movement. I was in People and Time and Newsweek and CNN and the Associated Press on New Year's Day. And I recruited head skippers. This is really before social media. It was 1999. So Facebook and Instagram and all that wasn't out there yet. But it was one of the first examples of a community coming together in a very specific area via the internet. And the media largely drove that. Like when the LA Times did a story and they said I was looking for someone to head up the LA chapter, and then I got a bunch of emails from people. So it was very much a media driven adventure that was beyond my wildest dreams.
And how did your colleagues react to this?
My my friends, like mixed, I would say. Like some people were really into it. I lost a lot of friends along the way where I was changing and growing and they weren't, which I think happens when we're pursuing a dream. And then, my colleagues at the publisher where I worked with at the time were completely into it. And I mean, my boss was kind of bummed when I ended up quitting my job because I was so convinced that I'd found my calling that I thought that if I left, the net would follow. My dad used to say, "How's the cash registering, Kim?" And I'd say, "It doesn't matter, Dad. The universe will show me." I was very young and naive and had did not have a very firm understanding of the gravitas it takes to bring a dream, a big, big dream into the world. And so I've learned a lot about that over the last 25 years and wouldn't trade it for the world.
You know, it's interesting. There was a song by the Moody Blues called Through the Eyes of a Child, and the lyric went in part, Through the eyes of a child, you must come out and see that your world's spinning round, and through life you must be a small part of a whole of a love that exists. With the eyes of a child you will see. That's really what this is about, isn't it?
Very much so. It's being able to get into a place of childlike joy and wonder and curiosity. I mean, that ultimately is it. And then it's also worth mentioning that alongside that wonderful magical child is a can be a child that's been pretty traumatized and beat up and hurt by life. And so I just recently had the great honor of interviewing Peter Levine, trauma researcher Peter Levine. He's very pro skipping, and part of the reason why is because it helps connect us to that child from a joyful place instead of coming in, like with really heavy therapy and stuff like that. It's a way into that realm so that we can start to do the healing that we need to do to give the part of our child that was wounded, our inner child that was wounded, the love that she needs or
That's
he needs.
something that's something every child needs, isn't it?
Yes, and every adult.
And every adult, absolutely.
Yeah.
After more than 2.5 decades of the I Skip movement, how has your life changed?
Oh my goodness. Wow, that's a good question. My life, I love my life. I just feel like I am using my life to make a positive difference. And that's my number one value. That's always been the most important part. That's what the skipping movement helped me experience. And then that's shown up in a lot of different ways over the 25 years, not just through skipping, but just being open and listening and willing to say yes when the universe gives me creative inspiration and opportunities to do good in the world. I'm a do-gooder and proud of it.
Absolutely. That's interesting that you say that because throughout my life, one of my blessings has been a series of synchronicities. What Carl Jung referred to as meaningful coincidence without causal connection. And one of these opportunities came, one of these synchronicities came. I had three choices. I could say, not right now, and dismiss it out of hand. I could say, that's interesting, but not for this moment, for the future. Or I can say yes with a capital Y and immediately embrace it. And every time I said yes with a capital Y, the next one would come and the next one would come. Did you find that in your life also?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There was this very specific time during the skipping movement where, it was for a couple, 2, 3 years, it was like everything was going really well. And then all of a sudden I had, the book that I was working on, the contract didn't sell and I had to get a job and I was like feeling very disillusioned and really like asking the universe, like why I said yes, why? I thought my reward for saying yes was going to be this straight shot upward of to fame and fortune. Yeah, that was really, or that I would be rewarded for doing well. And I'm like, I just want to do good. I just want to do good. Like, how can I serve? And I made a very specific prayer about that. And then I walked to the gym the next morning and I encountered this woman who was I didn't know what was going on with her. She was like, it seemed like she was talking in tongues and she was kind of coming up to people and seemed confused. And it's San Francisco, so it's not uncommon for people who are on the street for that to happen to. But my intuition just said something like, no, she needs help. And so I went up to her and I said, do you need help? And she did. She was actually in the middle of a major diabetic reaction. And like so many people had passed her by, and I like got her, and I knew enough from a friend who'd been diabetic to get her a Coke to like get her blood sugar, like within a more normal range, and waited for her boyfriend to come and pick her up. And that to me was an answered prayer of the question of how can I serve? It can be those opportunities come in all shapes and sizes, and sometimes it's for a lifetime. Like I mean my so many people know me as Skipper. I feel like skipping at one way or level will be with me for my lifetime, but then sometimes it's just for a reason, like helping that woman, and sometimes it's for a season, for things that you think are going to last forever and then they don't, but they really served a purpose. So yes, I think that that inspiration comes around. And actually the skipping movement, the first time it came around, I said not right now, which is very common for when people have callings come in. You say not yet. But then
Mhm.
if it's meant for you, it does come back around. And I did say yes the second time around on skipping. I love to say yes whenever I can, because it always brings just fun and magic and all that jazz.
It's interesting what you shared about that encounter with that woman and helping her. One of the things that I've advocated for years, I'm 72 now, I've been advocating this since I was in my late 30s, is that we have to start extending kindness and understanding and help to those who truly need it. And you meet someone on the street and they seem to be in a bad way, and you say, can I listen to you? Do you want to share something with me? I'm here to listen without judgment, without interfering with what you're sharing, to allow you to complete your sharing. How many people start crying and embrace just the simple act of someone offering to listen to them?
It's so true. And it's like in our world, we're just so much on our phones and, in our own head and busy worrying about what other people are going to think about us, that it's easy to forget that. But it really is true that the power of that holding space and just listening to someone's story can make such a difference. It actually reminds me, I'm working on a book right now called The Friendship Bench, by Dr. Dixon Chimbanda. And he started a program in Zimbabwe. He's from Zimbabwe. He's a psychiatrist there. After one of his patients committed suicide, there was only six psychiatrists for all of Zimbabwe, like one psychiatrist for millions of people. And so he knew he had to figure out a way of giving mental health support that people could actually like that would help the people. And so he worked with 14 grandmothers, and he started this program where grandmothers sit on a bench, and then people come and just get to sit, and they're just trained in basic cognitive behavioral therapy, where it's just like they'll, if someone needs more help, they get referred on to medical help. But for the most part, people just we just need someone to sit with us and hold space and let us be seen and heard and tell our stories. There's so much power in that.
Simple acts of kindness. I was blessed with a mother who taught me about kindness. And one of the things she taught me when I was very young is if you go through a door, you hold the door, look behind you, see if someone else is coming. If you see someone, hold the door for them or anyone else who's coming behind you, and then let the door shut. And that simple act of kindness. You
Yes.
see people light up today when you do something like that, never expecting that people in this hurried world would take the time to just hold a door for somebody.
Absolutely. And again, that's part of what I brought back from Burning Man with me, because Burning Man's very much about that. And each moment and each person you're engaging with, how can you bring more creativity and fun and play and magic to the moment? And just kind of thinking in that way, like every little bit helps. And just a smile to someone at the right time can make all the difference in the world.
Recognizing someone who's serving you at a counter or a checkout or something, asking them their name, thanking them for their service if they've given you great service, or walking up to someone who seems to be struggling with trying to take something off an upper shelf and saying, may I help you with that? Always with permission, but may I help you get that box or that package? And the smiles that you get and the gratitude that's expressed is just priceless.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, what are some of the fun ways to put a skip in your step?
Oh, let's see. Well, my favorite thing to do is to go like at the gym and then empty workout room in the morning when there's not a class going on, and pick one song that really like Fat Bottom Girls by Queen's one of my favorites, and just like put on a song that just makes me feel silly and it brings me joy, and then just skip around and lift my vibration, and that's my preferred way. I just actually recently, skipping for me largely has been about the fun, free spirited aspect of it more than going for miles and miles, which some people do. There's people have skipped an entire marathon. But for me, it's always been about the fun. But just recently, Stuart McMillan, who was on the Huberman Lab podcast, is having people do skipping drills where you skip, for 50 meters and then turn around and walk back and do that over and over again and do different variations. And so I've been playing with that a little bit as like skipping intervals with more of a fitness mindset. If sometimes when I'm outside, I'll just, skip every time I come to a picket fence, I'll skip. I'll play that as a game. Oh, and crosswalks are my favorite. Skipping in the crosswalk's the best because everyone's that's sitting there waiting for you wants you to go fast. And so you can just break into a skip and then it brings a little levity and joy and then they get on their way faster so they're happy.
Absolutely. I remember when I was a kid, there was a song called Skip to Maloo. Lost my partner, what'll I do? Skip to Maloo, my darling. Do you ever skip to Maloo?
Yes. I love that. There's lots of fun variations of that too out there.
My guest is Kim Skipper Corbin. Kim, please share with our listeners where they can find out more about you, about iskip.com, and also the special event having to do with something totally different coming up in New York on June 22nd.
iskip.com is the best place to find anything and everything. And also I'm on all the social media channels.
And the event in New York.
Oh, the Unicorn Blessing Brigade in New York. There's if you search on Eventbrite and or Facebook for Unicorn Blessing Brigade Central Park, it should come up.
Wonderful. We'll be back with more of Kim after these words on the Om Times Radio Network.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of Om Times Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going Om. My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Back on Destination Unlimited, my guest this week, my dear friend, Kim Skipper Corbin. Kim is coming back to us after my first show. She did my first show with me back in 2016, and she's back to share her amazing path with us today. Kim, what are some of the fun ways to put a skip in your step? Do you have a favorite?
Well, skipping in the crosswalk, like we just said earlier, is definitely is my favorite, one of my favorite ways. And then in the workout room, and then you can also skip on the treadmill at the gym. That's something that I recommend. That's more advanced. It's better to like skip on solid ground first if you have to. And you can just skip around your living room or skip around your house, or you can ask a kid to skip with you. Say, it's been a long time since I skipped. Will you show me how to skip again? And then that is a nice way to not just be an adult out skipping around if that makes you feel subconscious.
What are the physical, emotional, and spiritual benefits of skipping?
Well, the physical benefits is that it has less impact on our joints than running does, and it's actually really good for the fascia. It burns more calories than walking. It makes us feel like a kid again. That's one of the favorite one. But probably my ultimate way that I use skipping as a practice is that even to this day, 25 years after I started skipping, I have this internal dialogue that happens, and my rational mind, that's job is to protect me and keep me safe, says, it used to say people are going to think you're crazy, adults don't skip. It doesn't say that anymore. Now it's more like you're going to annoy people with your joy. Don't make it all about you. It always has something to say. And then the voice of my heart, the voice of my spirit loves to skip. And so it's even to this day, it is a conscious choice for me to choose the joy, to choose the voice of my heart, to listen to the joy of my body and follow that, and not let my mind that wants to protect me stop me. And over the years, that has become it's like a meditative practice, really, of choosing the joy, choosing that voice. And so I recognize that same pattern and dynamic happening when I do other things like writing the book I've been struggling to write for 25 years. That voice will say, really, you're going to try this again? We have been so burned and hurt by this. You're never going to be able to write this book. And then something deep within me that's even greater says, nope, I've got to do this. I won't be able to rest until I do this. I'm doing it anyway. And then each time that I'm able to actually sit down and not let the rational voice stop me, my spirit and the voice of my heart gets stronger, and that allows me to fulfill the work that I'm here to do in the world. So I think that's personally my favorite. And then it just makes the world a happier place. You can't skip without smiling. You think that people are going to like make fun of you, but almost always people either ignore you or they're like, skip to my loo. Well, hey, and like things like that. So it really is, it brings so much joy to the world. And if you do it with other people, it's exponential joy. So there's all kinds of benefits of skipping.
You bring up an interesting point. You talk about the voice of your heart and strengthening the voice of your heart. How do you differentiate between the voice of your heart and, let's say, the ego voice?
That ego logical voice that's trying to protect you it's going to be protection. It's going to be like, oh, be careful, watch out. Have you thought about this? It's very rational. And the voice of our heart, the voice of our spirit is just, it's that childlike joy that lives in our body. It's the part of us that believes that anything's possible still. It's what we would do if we couldn't fail. It's the dreamer. It's the part that, and then it often will trigger that rational side. It says, "Oh, but be careful! We don't want you to get hurt." It's like that rational side is really protecting some, wounded, traumatized parts of us, and that it doesn't want us to, it'll try and stop us. So that magical voice of the child within is really, I think, the key to our joy and happiness.
Kind of reminds me of the old cartoon where you'd have the devil in one ear and the angel in the other ear trying to tell you what to do, right?
Exactly. And then the power comes in our ability to choose and to see what's going on, and then for whatever the situation is, pick which of those sides. It's not that one's wrong or right. For the longest time, I used to say that it was my inner critic trying to stop me from skipping, and I was going to skip past my inner critic. And I've realized over the years that my inner critic is just doing its job. It's Bill Plotkin calls it a loyal soldier who's there to defend me, and it really is trying. And as long as I have my own awareness and presence, and I can see that that's what's happening, I don't have to demonize it. I don't have to try and squash it because that doesn't work. I can just thank it for trying to protect me and then make another choice from a place of awareness between that angel and that devil that are on our shoulders.
In a world that needs to be a happier place, how does skipping come into play?
It brings joy and freedom and reconnects us with that childlike innocence that can be in such short demand in the overall world sometimes.
And how do we embrace everyone and get them involved?
Well, not everyone's going to skip. I had to come to that realization too at some point along the way. But I think it's just encouraging everyone to embrace their own uniqueness and the things that bring them joy. Not everyone's going to be a skipper, but everyone has something from their childhood or just the little simple pleasures that make them happy and bring them joy. In today's world, our joy is a revolutionary act, and our world needs people who are loving life and choosing joy and remembering the magic that's there alongside with just all the craziness that's going on, which we talked about in our first interview. And now look, it's like compared to then, it's like it's even crazier now. So the world needs that joy more than ever.
I was going to say not much change since the last time we had our interview. And what do you say to people who, shall we say, are skip curious?
Well, I would say take it slow, find a friend, skip around your house at first, like you don't have to be out skipping all around, but just know that you're just give it a try. It's like riding a bike. Well, actually, that's not totally true. I don't know if you saw on TikTok last year, there was this TikTok skipping challenge where people would ask older people in their lives to skip again, and so many people couldn't do it. There's like you can lose hours on TikTok if you search for the hashtag skipping challenge.
Just out of curiosity, I had my left knee replaced back in September of last year, and I had to have it done. Does that inhibit me from skipping again?
I would ask your doctor about that. My husband just had both of his hips replaced at the same time. And in that case, with his, I don't know about knees, both his hips, he was given skipping clearance from his doctor. So I'm not sure with knees, but you always should listen to your body. And if there's any question, ask your doctor what they suggest.
Absolutely. Back in 1962, Shel Silverstein, the writer and the singer and songwriter and the comedian, penned the song, The Unicorn Song. It was a hit for the Irish Rovers, and the lyrics started, "A long time ago when the earth was green and there were more kinds of animals than you've ever seen. They'd run around free while the earth was being born, but the loveliest of them all was the unicorn."
Yes, I love that song.
That song implied that in the modern day, the unicorn was not to be seen anymore. But I understand that you have rediscovered the unicorn. Please tell us about the movement. You started sharing about it a little bit before. Tell us about the movement.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. I started in a group here in my hometown of Petaluma, California, called the Unicorn Blessing Brigade, and it came to be because my friend and co-organizer Tracy sent me a TikTok video of a bunch of people at a 40th birthday party, and they were all riding those costumes that it looks like you're riding an animal, like your back legs are the animal's back legs, and then your hands are like on the reins. And there was unicorns, and there was flamingos, and there was there was all chickens, there's all different kinds. And when I saw the video, I had an inspiration that, that calling, that inner call to do something fun. And I've always loved unicorns. And a herd of unicorns is called a blessing. And when you see a unicorn, it's supposed to bring good luck. So I live in a very fun smallish town. Not really small. It seems small, but it's a big town. And I put out a Facebook event invite and said, calling all unicorns. And it was actually the day that Roe versus Wade got overturned, which I remember just because it was really significant the night that it happened. And I encouraged everyone to get riding unicorns and said, I want to ride around town to bless the people that we encounter along the way. All of us either dressed as unicorns or on riding unicorns. And we had 40 people come out. It reminds me of the early skipping days and the events I used to do back then. And then ever since then, we have been a group that rides around town. And we have about 12 people that are very consistent group people. And then we have new people come in always. And we're about to have our 3rd anniversary here in Petaluma on Friday the 13th. And then I'm taking the show on the road to New York, New York. Start spreading the news. We're going to do a Unicorn Blessing Brigade through Central Park. And my friend Michelle Joni, who I know because she started Michelle Joni's Skipping Club in New York many years ago, probably 15 years ago now, or something like that, 10 years ago. She happens to have a unicorn bus called Glinda the Good Bus, which looks like a unicorn. It has a horn on it. She like drives people around like for bachelorette parties and all parties. So we're going to be Glinda the Good Bus and the Unicorn Blessing Brigade are joining forces, and we're going to meet at 59th and Columbus Circle. And then we at the beginning of all of the unicorn rides, we go around and everyone talks about what aspect of positive energy they're bringing to the ride. Our only intention is to share joy and positivity. It's not a protest. It is a celebration. It's a positive energy pep rally. And so we're going to start at 59th and Columbus Circle with Glinda. We'll go around and do our opening circle. And then we're going to ride through the park. And we're going to end up at the Imagine Mosaic, where the Glinda the Good Bus will meet up with us again. And then some people will board Glinda and everyone else will follow her. And we're going to go to a place for happy hour afterwards. So I'm really excited to see what happens.
That's wonderful. Now, does everyone who attend have to have a unicorn costume?
No, absolutely not. Like everyone's welcome. We will have like some like little plastic and other unicorn horns for people if they don't have anything they want to, unicorns. Or you can just come and join the fun and, frolic alongside us if you want to.
And how can those who are going to be in the area and like to attend, how can they register for this?
There's on event. If you go to Eventbrite and search for Unicorn Blessing Brigade Central Park, it will come up. And also on Facebook, there's a Facebook event page as well. Unicorn Blessing Brigade on Facebook.
And that's going to be June 22nd. Is that correct?
That's June 22nd, Sunday, June 22nd from 2 to 5 p.m.
Wonderful. That sounds like such a grand time. And I'm hoping, I can't guarantee I'll be there, but I'm hoping I get a chance to see you there and say hello. So that would be lovely.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah, you can just come at the beginning, or like even if you don't make it to the beginning, you could go I think it's going to be a place called Playa Betty's where we're going to go for happy hour after. So That'd be great. You're welcome at any point along the way.
Thank you so much. So you had mentioned this book that's been fighting you for several years. What's the concept of the book?
The book is called Skipping the Life Fantastic. 10 Things I Learned About Joy, Fear, and Making a Difference by Inviting the World to Skip. And it has and is been a labor of love, a torturous labor of love. And for the first time in, I've been writing it for 20 years in one form or another. And I worked with a developmental editor last year, and I have it. It's like really, the body of the book is there, and I'm just going through and filling it in and doing I'm actually working with the hypnotherapist right now to just help me like go as deep as possible within my subconscious to help the parts of me that need healing heal so that I can see this all the way through. So it's pretty exciting. I'm working on it a little bit every day, and I have faith that this will be the time, but it could be 10 more years, like we'll see.
you called it a labor of love. It really sounds like you're in labor. Is that true?
Literally like 20 years of labor. It's no joke.
So let's touch upon some of the points that you're sharing. The first point is the magic happens outside of our comfort zone.
Yes, and this is kind of what I was talking about my first Burning Man. I almost didn't go to my first Burning Man because it was clothing optional. I was so scared to go. And if I went and I got to experiment with a whole new different part of my personality. And then that was where the magic started happening in my life. And I think that I'm actually listening right now to Joe Dispenza's book, How to Break the Habit of Being Yourself. And in order to create change in our life, we have to challenge the ways we've been and bring in new ways. And so that's really the focus of that chapter is starting to think about how can we change so that we can welcome the magic we want into our lives.
And we were talking before about the voice of the heart. You say that the still small voice within knows the way.
Yes, absolutely. And this is just really taking the time to listen, to sit quietly, and to get that rational mind that when you try and sit for 5 minutes has all the things you should be doing and go, 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 go. Get beyond that voice to the deeper wisdom that lies within all of our hearts and starting to make room for it in our lives so that we can hear what it wants us to do.
Albert Einstein said the definition of insanity is trying to do the same thing the same way over and over again. You say nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yes. And this chapter is like what we were saying earlier about the big yes with the capital Y. This is, until we say yes, until we take action, actually just having the inspiration isn't enough. We have to take focused action in the material world in order for our dreams to become a reality. And so that's the focus of this chapter is baby steps, action steps, moving forward and getting things out of the realm of imagination and possibility and into this world.
And then you say it's never too late to have a happy childhood.
Yes, I came up with that title after my interview with Peter Levine, talking about healing from trauma, healing the traumatized child and finding the magical child, and how that's kind of our big part of our jobs as adults is to go back in and help that child that needs healing so that we can tap into the joy and the fun and the magic of our childhood that maybe we didn't even get to have very much in our childhood because of our circumstances. We can always find the courage and the strength to start giving those things to ourselves.
The skipping wisdom of Kim Corbin. We'll be back with more of Kim after these words on the Om Times Radio Network.
Humanity Healing International is a small nonprofit with a big dream. Since 2007, HHI has been working tirelessly to bring help to communities with little or no hope. Our projects are not broad mandates, nor are they overnight solutions, but they bring the reassurance that no one is alone and that someone cares. To learn more, please visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human. And she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
This is Kathy Beal, host of Celestial Compass, featuring astrology you can use. Celestial Compass points you to what's going on in the sky and what you can do with it down here on Earth. We also explore fun, effective, and cosmic tools for navigating this adventure we call life. Join me the first and third Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for Celestial Compass. It's enlightening, entertaining, and empowering.
Imagine yourself being transported to India, to the banks of the Ganga and an ashram in Rishikesh. Visualize that you are welcome to satsang with an American sannyasi who shares the wisdom of her guru. Your visualization has manifested. Join Sattvi Bhagawati Saraswati for inspiration and transformation every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone or just taking a deep, calming breath to ground yourself. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org.
Back on Destination Unlimited, my guest this week, my dear friend Kim Skipper Corbin. Kim, some of the additional points that you're wanting to discuss in your book. You will annoy people with your joy. Why do people get annoyed at your joy?
Well, if you are not feeling your own joy and someone, has a lot of joy, it can be triggering. And I mean, when I first started the skipping movement, I was voted the moron of the month on a website called bringdown.com. Some of my friends, like I had to make new friends because a lot of them couldn't go forward. So it's just that will happen, and it's be joyful anyway. The Paradoxical Commandments, that's what it's called. So Kent Keith actually wrote them, and it's attributed to Mother Teresa often. And it reminds me of that, like, you will annoy people with your joy and be joyful anyway. And just be prepared to protect yourself from that, I think is important to do. When I very first started the skipping movement, I can remember I was like enthusiastically telling this cab driver about it. And he said, well, has anyone like been negative about your idea yet? And I said, no. And he said, well, what are you going to do when they are? Because they will. And it just kind of got me thinking about it. And like even Eckhart Tolle, we published The Power of Now at New World Library. And like there's the most hateful thing on his wall. So it's just part of it, but it should not be a reason that we stop because the world needs our joy more than ever. And I think it's also being aware that too bright of a light is blinding. And so you also need to know your audience and have compassion for where people are, and maybe not have your dimmer switch all the way up to 10, depending on who you're talking to.
You say that divine timing can be a real bitch.
Yes, this is my 25 years of labor, basically. When I first started the skipping movement, I just thought that, like I said earlier, it's going to just be this straight shot upward, and it was going to be like, yay, everything's great. And it has been a hero's journey, including a dark night of the soul, that really has forced me to go deep, deep, deep within. And the only way out is through. And that can take a really long time. I think we want the divine timing to happen on human time, and that's just not how it works. But it's still a worthwhile pursuit anyway.
You say you can only go as fast as your slowest self.
I love this one. This one was Karen Drucker the musician has a song that I heard at a author event that I was at that says this. I will only go as fast as my slowest self feels safe to go, is her lyric. And I am a very high achieving, enthusiastic, go-getter, get her done girl. Like that has always been who I am. And through my force of my will, I can make things happen. And when it comes to writing my book and this inner journey that I'm on, I finally realized that part can only take me so far. And she was really overcompensating for a part of me that was really struggling, feeling worthy. Like when the skipping movement started, I was like, why is this happening to me? I just did not have the self-confidence. And over the years, I have realized that my inner mother needs to just come in and love that part of me that was wounded. And so this chapter is really about honoring the parts of us that have been wounded, and then giving them what they need so that we can love them and move forward. But it's not going to just happen by the sheer force of your will, maybe.
And you touched upon this before, and this can apply to anyone who has a calling. You say we can be called for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Yes. And you hear this about relationships a lot. Relationships happen for a reason, a season, or lifetime. That's what made me think of it. And it's like when we first start, when a new creative inspiration comes through, it can be, we immediately think it's going to be forever. Or when we find a new community that feels like home, it seems like it's going to last forever. And over the years, things change and shift, and some things are just not meant to be around forever. They have an expiration date, and that's okay because there's always more inspiration coming in. So I just really like the idea that that it doesn't have to be like you're looking for your calling. Like I feel very lucky that I've gotten my skipping calling. I mean, it's been a journey. It's been challenging in a lot of ways to have my lifetime calling. But even if there's not like this big sense of lifetime calling, we can make a difference through kindness, random acts of kindness and simple gestures. And so that's really what I'm trying to shine a light on in this chapter.
And skipping is a powerful medicine.
Yes. I saved that for last because, like I said, I have realized over the years, even though, encouraging people to skip has been very important to me, that it doesn't have to be, you don't have to skip. So I put skipping last, even though it's probably the most important one to me personally, to really outline all of the amazing benefits of skipping that I've discovered over the last 25 years.
And you share a few fun ways to skip the light. Fantastic. One of them is to skip through the crosswalk when cars are waiting for you.
Yeah, that's the best time. They're there and they just want us, you got to get through quickly, and it's a win-win.
And how do you get them to wait for you?
Well, they have to wait. They're sitting sitting there in the car, and then you can walk slowly while they wait, or you can just break into a skip, and then you're across the crosswalk faster, and they get to go.
Not in New York City. Maybe in California. But
I'll remember that when I'm there.
You say, ask a kid in your life to skip with you.
Yes, absolutely. It's like training wheels. If you don't feel comfortable skipping, you go up to a kid and say, I don't remember how to skip. Will you show me? And they will just take you by the hand and there's so much we have to learn from kids. And I think like empowering them to know that, like they have a lot of value that we can learn from too.
And you say that show kids that adult life can be fun.
Yes. Yeah. Be the fun, crazy aunt or uncle.
And you talk about stealth skipping. Skip when only nobody's looking.
Yes. Yeah, this is for the shy skippers of the bunch. You can just like look around and then just skip in, no one will see you.
Now, long distance skipping. What do you define as long distance?
People skip miles at a time. On Stuart McMillan was saying he skips, I think he said like, forget how many miles every morning. People do long distances, and there's world records for people skipping an entire marathon. It's not my cup of tea, but you can do it.
And what are skipping intervals?
Skipping intervals are just skipping for a short amount of time. So you can like do it for like 50 set up at 50 yards and just skip and then walk back and skip and then walk back. So you're just doing them in short bursts. Or you can skip for 20 steps, walk for 10 steps, skip for 20, walk for 5. Also, I'll set like my interval timer. So 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, back and forth between the two.
And for someone who just wants to improve their mood, you say skip 10 steps to shift your mood in a more positive direction.
Yes, it's a quick way to I like to do that on interviews, just encourage people to just try skipping 10 steps to see how it feels again.
And you say skip from the beginning to the end of one song that makes you happy. And in my head, I'm hearing it makes you happy. Da 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 da. Right?
Yes. Yeah, and if you can't physically skip, skipping is very much a state of mind. So I lead laughter yoga circles. That's another one of my fun little callings, as I'm a certified laughter leader, and we'll do a skipping song. But people like being able to actually get that bounce in their step is like some people can't do that anymore. So you can just use your arms. You can just like bounce with your arms. It's really about the levity and the joy more than actually having to do the step hop thing.
Tell me a little more about laughter yoga. I'm not familiar with that one.
Laughter yoga was founded by Dr. Kataria in India, and it is everyone's in a circle, and then there's a mantra that goes ho ho ha ha ha, ho ho ha ha ha. That's kind of the glue, and then the leader introduces a kind of yoga of laughter. So let's say we did cocktail party laughter. And then I'll say, okay, cocktail party laughter. And then everyone walks around and goes, and they're like pretending they're at a cocktail party laughing. But it like immediately becomes real because it's so silly. And then once we do that for a while, then I go, ho, ho, ha, 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 ho, ho, ha, ha, ha. And then everyone gets back in a circle and you introduce a different kind of laughter. So it's again a way of kind of activating those, fun, silly, playful muscles that maybe we don't get to use as much as we did when we were kids.
And you say group skips equal exponential happiness.
Absolutely. Skipping with people and a big group of people is so much fun. I highly recommend it. If you're out with a group of friends too, that's how I first skipped, is that my friends Todd and Rudy said, come on, let's skip. And he just went skipping down the street in front of us. And me and Todd looked at each other like, what? And then we started skipping. And then that was where it all started for me, was all because Rudy thought of that. So anytime you're out with some friends, you can just like try it and see what happens, see who follows you.
So everyone in the skipping movement can thank Rudy. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, it all is because of Rudy.
My guest, my dear friend, Kim Skipper Corbin. Kim, one more time, please tell our listeners where they can find out more about iskip.com and all of your offerings there, the book you're working on, and the event coming up in Central Park.
iskip.com is kind of the mothership. And then as far as the event in Central Park, there is on Eventbrite, you could search for Unicorn Blessing Brigade Central Park. And same with on Facebook. There's a Facebook event page for that as well.
Kim, thank you so much for joining us again for 9 years later from the original time we were together doing these interviews. I am so grateful to you for your message and for your big, big heart. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Victor. Skip on.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us on Destination Unlimited. I'm Victor, the Skipping Voice Furman. Have a wonderful week.